Welcome to Laboratory Safety and Health Training. Laboratory research and testing brings us many new and improved products, as well as important scientific and medical knowledge. Working with chemicals in a laboratory requires coming into contact with many different substances. Hazardous chemicals are a safety concern, as are fires, explosions, reactions, and overexposures. OSHA has established a separate standard for exposure to hazardous chemicals in laboratories that requires employers to have a written chemical hygiene plan and establish training and procedures to keep laboratory employees safe. This course is an extension of hazard communication training and is specifically targeted for employees working in laboratory environments. After successfully completing this course, you will be able to identify general requirements of the laboratory safety standard, recognize the importance of a chemical hygiene plan in your workplace, define the purpose of a material safety data sheet, describe safety guidelines specific to laboratory fire and burn hazards, identify general emergency guidelines to be followed in the laboratory.
The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, requires employers to establish a safety program and train their employees in safe work practices. The laboratory safety standard requirements include establishing methods to detect the presence or release of hazardous chemicals, communicating physical and health hazards of chemicals in the laboratory environment, identifying measures employees can use to protect themselves, including safe work practices, emergency procedures, and personal protective equipment, PPE, and communicating details of the employer's chemical hygiene plan.
You have a right to know about the hazards you work with and the ways you can reduce your risk of exposure to hazardous materials. It is your right and responsibility to use this information every day on your job. Labels and MSDSs are your keys to information. Read chemical MSDSs before using any chemical for information about chemicals and for information on how to handle chemicals safely. An MSDS will identify hazardous ingredients, physical and chemical characteristics, physical hazards, health hazards, precautionary measures, storage and handling procedures, chemical leak, spill, cleanup and disposal procedures, first aid procedures. The steps your employer must take to keep you safe on the job include informing you about the hazards in your lab, including how much chemical exposure is too much, providing protective clothing and equipment, including respirators when needed, and training you on when and how to use them. Go to the next screen to learn about the remaining steps.